Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to episode 4 of Behind the Talent podcast. It's week 8 here in Talent League, and to kind of bring the season up to a little bit of an end as we're arriving towards determining which teams will be in our championship series, we have the wonderful caster Jaeger joining me today. And Jaeger, you've been with us at Talent League for a long time, but we've never had the pleasure of casting together. That doesn't mean you've been doing a lot of work around the scene, just making sure that we keep it as entertaining as possible.
Let's introduce our guest, Golu, right here.
Well, we have, coming from the minor league, coming from Nerf minors, it is the one, the only, it's Matto.
Hello,
You're doing
everyone.
a great job this season, so thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. Is there anything, just please, feel free to welcome yourself as you'd please.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be here on the podcast this week. I hope we have a great talk about the past week.
Yeah, I mean that's the plan. So if we disappoint you, then I apologise for that ahead of time. But yeah, well, quickly let's talk about a little bit you, Matto, first of all. So what is your history with Siege? When did you hear about Siege? When did you get into it?
Actually, it began like this: that I was watching a Rocket League YouTuber, and he just all of a sudden posted a video about Rainbow Six Siege in year 1, season 2, maybe something around this. And I started playing. I got stuck in Plat 2 for 5 to 6 years almost, and I was just playing casually. So I'm not playing competitive since day 1. It took me quite a while to figure out how amazing this part of the game is. Yeah, I think I really started playing comp maybe one year ago. So yeah.
I mean, talk us through that, Like, was this your first team? How many projects have there been before?
Sure.
I've just give a bit of insight, because I'm not sure that many people watching this actually know what it's like to go into the comp scene, especially someone who's been playing casually over a lot of time, to go suddenly into the comp scene when they're trying to change it up. How is it like? How many teams have we gone through? Like I said, how many projects? How many LFT tweets have you tweeted out? Just walk us through a bit of it.
Almost since day 1, I'm playing with a very close friend, Jonas, in my team. He's Jonas Bowser. We were a duo ranked team for 5 to 6 years now. So it was just the two of us in the beginning, and we got to know more and more people by playing ranked over the years. And it was just people joined the ranked stack, people left the ranked stack, etc. You probably know it, how it goes.
Yeah.
But almost 2 years ago, we met Nicholas, aka Jobama, and Jorias, it's Jordan. We met them in ranked, and it fit perfectly. And we started stratting in ranked, and yeah, we just realized that you can start in ranked, but of course you can also start in competitive. So we were looking for a 5th player to play competitive Siege. From then on, it's been, we had several 5th players. They didn't have time anymore, or they wanted to focus more on real life and stuff. So we've been swapping out the 5th player over the 2 years quite a bit. Hopefully we recently had a change. So I hope we can, with the new change in the new series upcoming next, be the best version of ourselves.
I mean, that actually does transition us really well into the next thing, which is your team ranking. Because right now, I have the standings up here on my other monitor. You are currently 4th on 14 points. Really close to that 2nd place. So you're in playoff contention. There's 2 games left for you to play. And, if you win both of them, you put yourselves in a really, really strong position. But, you are facing against Guardians. So what's the preparations looking like? They're also a team contending. There's a lot of teams who want that spot.
Yeah,
so
it's very tight. I think almost everything can happen with these 2 games upcoming. I mean, it's not only in our power anymore to get into the playoffs. So I think Gardinis have to win the game against Athene, and Barney's has to drop either overtime or a loss in one of the 2 upcoming games, and we have to win both games. So it's really, really close. And
it's
very competitive teams. in the minor division. So we had a one lineup change. We're currently trialing him, and so it's not confirmed that he really joins the team in the end. But we're playing with a new player the next 2 games probably. So it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, we have to scrim a lot and get used to each other, and then hopefully we can take the 6 points.
How does having a rotating player, right? You mentioned that you kind of find it a little bit difficult to settle on a fifth with things just continuously happening around you guys as a team. Does that mean that when it comes to the preparation, you have to play a little bit more vaguely, or do you just really try and drill it in like a sort of system for your fifth player to join into as quickly as possible? Which kind of approach do you more lean towards?
For the past couple of players, they were most of the time playing like the same role. It was like hard support, soft support role. Now with this current change ongoing, we threw kind of all our things across and trying something completely new.
Nice.
I am, as the captain or in-game lead to this point, thought that we might need this change.
Yeah.
And now we have a very new vocal player, the trial on the team, who I think is doing a very great job at leading the team with me, for us.
I look forward to seeing the last 2 games then, because if you've got this new kind of style, it could be something, a refreshing take. It might even catch your opponents off guard if they're expecting more of the previous style of Nerf minor. But
Definitely.
yeah, I mean, you mentioned before, it's kind of a little bit out of your hands, where you usually put the best results forward possible and hope that things just a little bit above you kind of shape the way you do.
Yes.
But let's quickly touch on the rest of the results from last week's game. So yeah, if you'd like to take it away with the minor league.
Yeah, like you said, recap of the minor league right now. Unfortunately, the first game that we talked about is a forfeit, which is Yon Esports versus Vizu. Vizu, unfortunately, did forfeit that game. But apart from that, there was another forfeit from Vizu, so I'm not sure exactly what is happening with them. But Team Guardians do get that 43 points as well. But now actually on to games that were played. BTD beat your team, Matto, 7-4 last time, which...
yes.
We'll come back to it in a second. We'll talk a bit more about what maybe went wrong. But some of the other games as well. Goldenus won against Aura 7-5. Very close game there. Something that I would recommend giving a watch. And Atin did get a 7-2 stomping over Team Invictum. But onto the Major League now. If Golu could just take it away.
Of course, we had a forfeit win for Praetorian. QVG unable to attend that matchup. Our Loud versus Laburnum Gaming, which is a very exciting matchup that people are really looking forward to catching, has been postponed until next Saturday. Vega Esports fell 0-2 to Humble Academy. Vivid and Altrank Esports tied 1 apiece. And Maestra Esports 2-0'd Machine Soldiers. That was quite the interesting game, right? I think Maestra is a team which people have kind of talked about as the team that can have these upset matches, but you still kind of expected maybe a closer matchup there. Maestra kind of pushing towards the top of the standings now, and kind of similarly to our minor, the major standings are very tight at the top, right? You've got Praetorian pretty safely secured in their position, number 1 seed at 16 points. Louder at 13, and just below that you have Vivid on 11, Maestra on 10, Laburnum on 9, Machine Soldiers on 9, Humble on 9, and QVG on 9. So with the top 4 making it into the Champion Series, yeah, you have a potential 8 teams all fighting for 4 spots. It's really interesting.
Crazy.
But look, Matto, I don't know how much you pay attention to the Major League. Obviously, your focus is to qualify up to the Major League. But if from what you have seen, or from what you know about these teams, are there any from that kind of big bracket that are all 2 points apart? Vivid, Maestra, Laburnum, Machine Soldiers, Humble Academy, QVG. Which ones would you be putting money on to make it?
So what I've seen on social media right now is that Laburnum Gaming is having a social media bootcamp and stuff. So they probably are also hopefully bootcamping together maybe. So I think they will get their stuff together and secure the playoffs. I think QVG is having a bit of a trouble right now, so I don't see them making it. I'm not really have too much information about the other teams, but I think Vivid and Laburnum would be my guess.
Yeah, I think the Laburnum point is a great one to raise as well, right? Because these sort of team bonding exercises do really help in the server as well, right? Where you just get a little bit better chemistry going. The team, the mood just feels better, right?
Yeah.
Let's just talk a little bit about last night's game, which was Machine Soldiers. I don't know how much insight you do have on this team, but as you know, they've lost 4 of their core players that won the actual league last season, right? And they lost 4 of these players right now. So they're a completely brand new team. And I mean, what do you think of this kind of thing where you lose so many players on a team and you have to just rebuild and get back up to a point where you were before? You know, you can see it already in like the higher leagues, like for example in T1 EU, right, where Empire lost 4 of their players and there's only Scyther left, right? So when a team loses all these players as a competitive player, what is your insight? What is the cogs behind it? Do you have a lot of pressure, do you think, or do you think you're just trying to do as good as you can, or is there something else that, you know, we just don't know?
It's really, really hard because you do not only have like a complete new team that you're playing on, or I don't know if the 4 players played before together, but it's a brand new team, and you also have those big footsteps you have to step into. I'm not sure if you can say this in English.
Yeah,
but
yeah, definitely.
I mean, the org won the last Champion Series, I think.
Yeah.
And now it's you under this org, so it's high pressure, of course. I mean, they're in the middle field of the major series, so I think it's alright for the first season as a new team, playing with the best teams. So, yeah, I think they're doing a decent job here.
Yeah, there's always going to be some time to sort of adjust to the new environment, right? And I mean, especially like you say, middle of the field, but it's a lot closer as a middle of the field than you'd normally see. There's still a chance they make that playoff spot to try and reclaim the title for the org, not for the same players. But, I mean, I think this is a good point just to jump back down to the minor league, right? Because this week you took on Barney's Trusted Dinosaurs, and I mean, Jaeger, I know you wanted to get into this one a little bit, so I'll let you take most of the control for this. But what are your immediate thoughts coming out of that game and having played that? I mean, obviously a pretty strong team, right? A lot of the ex-Machine Soldiers players on that squad.
Yeah. So I was a bit confused in the beginning, seeing the players in our match channel with the Champion Series winner Discord role. I was like, what is going on? Why are they playing the minor league? So yeah, we were aware that they're a pretty good team because they also won their game against Scaldini's, which we draw against. So we knew that they would put up a decent fight, and some information like from the game, we had really big issues with internet connection on our side. So I mean, in the end it's a 7-4. I mean, you cannot always put all the blame like on internet connection, but I think Jobama disconnected like 3 to 4 times, and we had one big lag in a 1v1 clutch situation. So yeah. I think in the end it maybe could have been a draw, maybe couldn't. So yeah, it was a bit unlucky on our side, but that's how it goes sometimes.
There's not too much to talk about. I just want to talk about Skyscraper because it is a new map, and relatively as in it is new in the competitive scene, right? You know, as you know, the competitive map pool for people watching at home, it has been expanded. There's been a lot of maps been added back into the pool, and Skyscraper is one of them. And it is actually a map that we've been seeing played a lot recently, not just in Talent League, but a lot more. And people prefer it over other maps that are being added. So why do you think that Skyscraper is a map that is picked more often than some of the other new added maps? Is this something to do with how the map is played? Is it to do with some of the defender attacker sided part of it? You know, is it more attacker sided to a point compared to some other maps? So just give us your thoughts on why do you think Skyscraper is really just picked as much as it is?
I mean, with Theme Park, Border, and Skyscraper being added to the map pool,
yeah,
and Theme Park is a map that you can prepare very well, but if you don't prepare it, most of the times it won't go in your favor. So I think a Border and Skyscraper are more easy to play without too much preparation, without skimming it 100 times. I'm not sure why it's Skyscraper being favored more than Border. I think Border is just the rework didn't change too much about the map, So
Yeah.
people have been playing this map for such a long time, and it's most of the time playing the same way. So I think there's just skyscraper being a bit more fresh from the way you play it. Yeah, you can play skyscraper very aggressive. So I think that's why many teams favor skyscraper before border.
Do you think there's a bit more freedom that is granted to teams as well, with skyscraper being a bit of a bigger map? Because border's one of the smallest in the pool at the moment.
Yes.
Like you mentioned, there's not a ton of space to move around, not a ton of changes that happened. Very, very quickly, just to linger on border, is there anything that you would like to see border changed again, or do you think it's just that teams need to kind of get used to it again?
I think border just depends on your playstyle as a team. If you're a team that really needs to settle their feet into the map to get some basic control, border might not be your map, because like if you just step into the building, into office, there's just so many angles you get shot from and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think if you're a very direct team, fragging team, then border is your map. But if you're more of the slow, droning, stretching team, it's probably, you will just ban it.
Let's hop a bit back. So you talked about that new addition to your team, right? I'm not going to name him because I'm not sure that, because you said it's on trial and we don't know if he's actually going to stay.
Yeah.
But you said that he is more of a vocal player, right? And from what we've seen as the meta has shifted in Siege over the years, is that there's no longer just one kind of IGL player who calls all the shots. You'll have 2 or 3 vocal players with different ideas and different kind of play styles and what they want to bring to a team. And do you think that this player is going to help you achieve this more properly, or do you want to keep playing this kind of, one IGL, you want to do this one kind of strat, or do you want to prefer, basically I'm trying to ask is if you prefer having 2 or 3 more people who just want to have their own ideas into the mix?
I definitely want to have 2 or 3 people bringing ideas into the game, just because I think 3 people have better ideas than 1 person alone. So up to now, it was me and Jobama doing the calls, but we don't have too much experience since we're just playing competitive for 1 year, and maybe after 1 year, half a year grindy with a higher level to play. So our newest edition, or hopefully newest edition, has somewhat like 3 years experience in in-game leading. So I think we will profit a lot from this as a team, and me and Nicholas Jobama can also improve our shot calling and in-game leading, and it will be a good triple split.
What do you think of your performance so far this season? Are you happy with how you've done? Do you disappointed? Do you wish you could have won a few more games? Have you sorted out some of the mistakes? What are you feeling going into these last 2 games? And what are your expectations for finishing up this season?
We definitely want to win those last 2 games to even have the chance to make it to playoffs, depending with the other outcomes of the games. Yeah, I'm quite happy with how the season went so far, actually. I think we have really good teams in the minor league. So our 2 draws against Arcane Esports and Goldinis, they're both fine. I'm really looking forward to next season with the overtime rule, so we can figure out who gets 1 more point next season in those very close games. So this will be interesting. And we're fairly new to competitive Siege, as I said, so we're learning from every game and trying our best. So I'm very looking forward to the grind with our new player and in the new league. So yeah, it's all about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting as well, right? Because you're not the only team that's making changes in these past 2 weeks. We're seeing Aura Esports, they've dropped Rinky, picked on Neoni and Lays. Team Guardians Alpha dropped Itchy and picked up Rezu and Opta. You guys have made an addition yourselves. Atten have added Skylia, new manager, as well as Clint to their roster. The Goldinis have lost Flakes. I mean, it's not just the minor league that's making changes, but the impact on the minor league coming into these final weeks will be quite huge to see which teams are pushing just a little bit harder. But the minor league, the major league as well, you've seen Machine Soldiers pick up Deconto. You've seen Ultrac pick up Slick Venom. Maestra have picked up 3 new players, Ares, Billy, and ADN. They have dropped Master to make a bit more space on their roster. Vega Esports, Merlin, Strivox, dropping Avoc and Bix. Couldn't quite help them pick up their first win last week, but still changes being made to a lot of these teams. I mean, I want to have your thoughts on this one, right? You're coming towards the end of a season, you're making the changes. Is this a good idea just to try and get something fresh in? Would you rather just play it out as your normal 5?
It depends, really. If you're Vega, right, and this is just what I think, and it's my opinion, which obviously people will have different ones, and honestly, I will ask you about this, Matto, because I think it's very interesting to what you think about this. But I feel like, especially when you get to the end of the season, you have nothing to play for, right? You know you're probably going to get relegated, or you have to go to relegation playoffs, right? At that point, why don't you just try some new players? Why don't you try to see something that sticks, something that will help you next season to be better? And that's probably why the reason we see so many teams towards the end of the season, when they don't have much to play for, start making more roster changes. I mean, it's not just Siege, it happens. But Matto, I mean, what do you think about this? Swapping players this much, you don't really have time to adapt, so you don't really know exactly either, how good a team could potentially be. I mean, what are your thoughts about this?
I think if you can figure out that it's a problem of your roster, then sure, it makes sense to use the last playdays to test out some new players in official games. Sure, that makes sense. But maybe you can also, from your data, or the analyst can figure out that it's not about the roster itself, but maybe about the playstyle, maybe just about some minor mistakes costing you over the whole season several points that put you in the relegation spot. Then you might want to stick with the team and grind. So I think it depends on what's the deeper reason in your standing. So
it just really depends from team to team, player to player, because obviously we've seen in every single tier of esports, you'll have that kind of one or two orgs that keep dropping players and picking up new players and don't really have time to gel together. They pick up 5 new players, they can't get results, they drop them the next week, they pick up 5 new players, they can't drop them, and I feel like that almost never works out. But
there's actually one thing I'm just seeing right now. I'm not sure, I think we've been missing this, but Laburnum Gaming is actually sitting on 9 points with having 2 games not even played.
Yeah.
So they are 2 games behind most other teams. So this even increases their chances to making playoffs.
Yeah, because their loud game from this week is now on Saturday, which gives them that extra game as well. I mean, some tough games, but like you mentioned before, I think we have faith in the Burnham Gaming to make it, right?
We do have faith. But also, you got to remember, right? When you have games in hand, it's always a bit of added pressure. Like, okay, we have the games in hand. It's always a big debate in every single sport, not just esports or sport. When you always have these games in hand, you're like, potentially we could go ahead of this team. But you know that because the teams have, you know the position of the teams that are already around you.
Yeah.
You always have this extra bit of chip on your shoulder that is saying that, hey, we need to win this game, we need to lose, we need to draw this game, we need to get at least this amount of points from this game, which really could take a hit on some teams' mental. But waffling aside, we do need to make an important announcement, Golu, right? That we forgot to make at the start.
So we have 2 big bits of league news. The first is that, unfortunately, due to real life and just things being a bit busy, we aren't able to bring you all the games from next week streamed. So only Monday's games will be shown on stream. The others will still be played off stream, and they will be played fairly, but we can't bring you that action, unfortunately. The second bit of news, though, like you said, Jaeger, is a little bit bigger. There's going to be a restructure for next season of Talent League. There will be another division being added, and the divisions, as a result, will be shrinking just a little bit. We're going from 10 teams to 8. So it will be 3 divisions of 8 teams, and, well, this will change a couple of the ways that the streams are run. It's to try and make things run a little bit more smoothly, a little bit more efficiently, and so you can keep up with all of our games going on a little bit easier. But the games in the Major League will be moving to a best of 1 format, where we will then be streaming all of the major games in one day. Same thing will go for the Minor League as well, where we'll have 4 best of 1s played in one day, so we can all catch everything, get all the action to you very easily, and make sure that nothing is missed out on. Please note, the number of games per week will remain the same. However, if this is something that changes in the future, we will make sure that you are aware as soon as we can let you. The next thing is that Azami and Sens will be available to be played from week 9 onwards. So for the end of the season and then for the Champions Series afterwards, we will get to see a little bit of excitement from the new operators and how teams have kind of been playing around with them in ranked. Sens will be the particularly interesting one though, as well, it'll be coming in basically on release.
Yep, and this is a really good segue to ask our guest here, Matto, about what he thinks of these new operators. Usually, like we said, since Lion had come up, we've always had this 1 month competitive, or like 1 season, competitive ban, where they aren't really allowed inside of the actual competitive games. And by the time they are allowed in, it's kind of quote unquote old news, unless, you're really meta impacting operators. So, what do you think about these two agents? That's a Valorant speaking. What do you think about these two operators in particular? How do you think they'll change the meta, and do you think they'll be used a lot?
So I think Asami will be meta changing for sure. Maybe not on all maps, but on quite a bit. She's super strong right now. I think Ubisoft might will want to do some balancing on her after seeing her in pro play. I mean, we have seen her in some national leagues already. Also banned quite sometimes. With Sense, I think it's a bit difficult because you really need to have a Sense pro on your team. I think with all those strats, how exactly the gadget is rolling and bouncing off the walls and stuff. So I think she will be in a very decent spot. To be fair, it will need some time for teams to bring her on lineups to play around her. I mean, she's a 1-speed operator, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
So I think it's again maybe something for the more stretch-heavy teams that use the attacker repick a lot. That teams that nowadays use Ying, Capitao, Dokebi, stuff like this, play around the operator. If a team is just all about fragging and bringing the gun power, you probably won't see a Sense on these kind of rosters. But yeah, I think she won't be game breaking.
Glass is also getting 3-speed. That is also a change. But yeah, I can't wait to see the Glass, Osa, Smoke bringing a Jackal probably or something else for the Smokes, plus the Sens, all these into the lineup at the same time with the Lion, and it's gonna be a mess. Let's just leave it at that. And Warden, slowly but surely, he's gonna be rising. His pick rate already, I think, is a very, very strong operator as is with the current meta, because how much of Ying and Captao is played. But I think he's gonna be on a completely different level. But speaking of these operators, I just want to get your opinion on one more thing, and that is operator bans. As you know, in ranked and competitive games, always you're gonna have 2 operators banned, and usually these are of your Valkyries, your Kaids, your Vomais, depending if you're playing on Clubhouse. But do you think Azami is going to be someone who's also going to be banned a lot, kind of like Mira? And does that mean that you're going to also have other operators like the Mira, like we just said, who's going to be unbanned? You think this is going to lead to a kind of new kind of meta for this game? A lot more strats, a lot more sites can be opened up because of these new operators, basically.
I think Azami will be banned probably in the first few on the last playday of this series. And maybe also on the first playdays of the next season. Just because you have to get used to it first, play some scrims with it, get to know how to play around with it yourself and how to counter it. But I mean, there are some ways. I mean, you could also ban the Wamai, which indirectly also counters Azami, because you can play around Drafters on Clubhouse as an example as well anymore, because you can just get rid of the Azamis with 1 gun 6. But I think it will definitely open up some other operators for sure. Yeah.
Maybe we'll see a return of Ashe, because you can actually just blow them up quite quickly. Maybe you need a couple more buffs to Ashe before. Maybe give her 3 breaching rounds again. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, because we haven't seen Ashe in ages in play. But we will quickly just talk about next week's games that we have coming up. We have 5 major games, 5 minor games. You know the deal by now. So, the Monday, we have QVG taking on Laburnum Gaming. That will be one of the one streamed major game for the week. So that'll be a good one to kind of tune into to see which of these teams is going to be battling out for that champions spot. Ultrac take on Vega. Maestra Esports against Humble Academy. Another one fighting for that spot. Praetorian versus Machine Soldiers. And Loud versus Vivid. So all of these games minus the Ultrac Vega, all the teams fighting for these very important points against each other, which is always fun to see. The minor, though, run through these swiftly. We got Barney's Trusted Dinosaurs taking on Aura. Atten versus YOD Esports. Nerf Minor versus Team Guardian Alpha. That's going to be a good one. And, well, Matto, we hope to see you popping off in that one as well. Lawless Gold will not be happening, seeing as Lawless have dropped out of the league. So Goldinis will get a forfeit win there, and Team Invictum will get the forfeit win over Visu as well.
I think we are running out of time here, so let's just wrap up. Who do you think, and this is a very spicy controversial take, is who do you think is one of the most underrated teams or overrated teams in your league, in your division, and in the major as well? I mean, it's just something that everyone likes to see, a little bit of trash talk. So, let's get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what Coxa can do with his team of Goldinis. They have quite a lot of substitute players, and I'm not really sure what's going on at a team internally, but I'm hoping that he can figure out a complete stack, and hopefully they can join an org again. I think at 10 esports, it's quite funny to see them playing, because sometimes they have these super crazy strong days where they're just ripping apart a Praetorian esports like in the qualifiers.
Yeah.
And on other days, I feel like they're really struggling to get their playstyle together. I hope that Athene can bring up some more consistency, because I think they're, in the basics, a really, really strong team. Yeah, that's from the minor division. And from the major division, we played Praetorian in the qualifiers. They're a crazy good team coming from ranked, I think. I mean, they just joined the organization a few weeks before the Talent League. Yeah, and I want to see QVG. I mean, they are now sitting on 9 points, so everything open, but I hope that they can find back to a stack with the old qualities. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just about everything we want to cover before we go into some final thoughts. I mean, I guess, the one thing you want to do is shout out the MVP of this week, which is Icox, right? Before I do that, so, shout out Icox, played well, good job, GG, go next.
Thank you very much. Is there anything you would like to say? The floor is yours to pick anything, Matto, whether that be something that we haven't raised up that you'd like to get out there, maybe just a hot take on Siege in general, or just a little word to anyone who might be watching, maybe your competitors, if you would.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to our last 2 games against Guardians Alpha and Team Invictum.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see us in the lobby in the next 2 weeks. And I hope we'll have good games. And yeah, thanks to the whole Talent League team for providing this amazing experience. It's been great to play, and I'm really looking forward to the new series.
Yeah, it is that time of the week where we have to give Trippin his weekly shout out, but he does do all of the organisation for this, and we wouldn't be here without him. So shout out Trippin. This time I'm not gonna make a joke about you holding me at gunpoint for that one. I'll let you have the dub here. But that will bring this week's episode of Behind the Talent podcast to a wrap. I've had a lovely time getting to sit down with Jaeger for once, and it's been lovely to hear your thoughts on what's going on this week in Talent League. And again, a very special thank you to Matto for taking time out your day to join us here and give us a little bit of insight into Nerf Minor, the season as a whole, and just good luck with the rest of your games. We look forward to seeing, well, not seeing one of them, I guess, because of the no stream this week, but look forward to seeing your last game and hearing the results of your first, and maybe we'll get to see you in the championship bracket fighting off for that top spot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good luck in your games, Matto. Like I said,
Thank you.
As a close off here, like I said, wait, I'm having a bit of a brain moment. I was gonna say something, but I forgot and I just looped. But thank you for it's happening again. No, we're gonna end it off here.
Don't worry,
thank you for coming, Matto.
Us.
Good luck for you. I hope you guys win, because you guys seem to be a very good team. And regardless of the outcomes, I think you guys have a very bright future ahead of you. So, it's been me and Golu. Thank you, Trippin. Thank you, Matto. Stay hydrated. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.